Hi guys, my name is Alexia and I'm from the Boys and Girls Club of Metro Los Angeles, and today we're going to be focusing on culture awareness. And the name of our activity for today is called Cozy Blanket. So, if you love blankets just as much as I do, then you've heard about quilts before. And quilts actually in different families and different traditions tell a story of that specific family, of the traditions they hold, things they do yearly to remind them about their family and what their family values. And that's what really culture is all about. What we're gonna actually do today is we're actually gonna brainstorm, and we're gonna build an example of maybe what our quilt will look like. But we're gonna add a little flair to it, a little spice, and we're gonna actually explore different textures from different countries and even from their traditional clothing that they wear. What we're actually going to do is we're actually going to get a piece of paper and we're going to fold it in half. Then we're going to fold it again, and we have to end up with 4 squares. Ta-da! And on this side I'm going to write my culture, and this is where I'm going to add my own design. What represents me today, my beliefs, what I like, what I love, even the things that even my family, like the influence my family has given me. What are some things that remind me of my family?
Okay, so the image we see here are examples we can use to add to our quilt so that we can learn a little bit more about the patterns and shapes that other cultures use. So the first one is Jalisco from Mexico, and then the second one is Japan. The third one is India, and the last one is Africa. And these all come from different traditional clothings that in those countries they wear. So the first thing I'm going to do is that other than needing paper, we're going to need colors for this activity. So what I'm going to do is in the first square, I'm going to add my culture. So that's what represents my culture, where I'm from, where my family comes from, or anything that really I identify with as my beliefs and my values. If you see here, I drew a mango because my family, we grew up eating a lot of fruit. So when I think about my family and snacking, we love fruity stuff. So that's why I drew a mango, because it's one of my favorite fruits. And so I'm just going to keep adding to my quilt, and you can go ahead and add to yours. So when you think about culture, you could think about your beliefs, things your parents have taught you, and even like things that you think make your family stronger. So because I am now from Mexico, I'm going to add my last name. Well, my 2 last names, because I think that not only represents my mom and my dad, but also even who I am, right? So continuing on, we're actually going to now keep in mind the patterns that we just looked at as examples, so that we can learn about the different shapes and the different forms that even cultures use to represent themselves in clothing. I know that it might not be our culture, but it would be good to add something to even help us and help us learn, or help us remind us like what is going on around the world and how do even different cultures represent themselves in their culture. Okay, so I'm just going to finish up drawing my square, and then in the rest I'm going to add the other cultures. So in the rest of the squares, I actually now went ahead and cut out some felt. So felt is like this soft material. If you don't have it, it's okay, it's optional, we can just draw everything out. But if you do have it, or maybe you're part of one of the Boys and Girls Club, you can ask your staff for a felt for this craft. So in my second square, I drew inspiration from the African texture. As you can see, they look like fields and like a sun. And I thought that was really pretty, because it represents nature overall and how bright the world is. And so I'm just going to add with my green marker kind of like these little stitches, so it could look a little bit more like a quilt, and we can have that little bit of feeling, of course, of that traditional quilting. If you see quilts, the patterns or like different squares are sewed together to create like a story. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and draw my third square, and I'm going to draw India because I myself personally have friends that are from India, and I also love Indian food. It is delicious. I love curry and so many other dishes that they have out there. And yeah, so I'm gonna represent India and draw it here. Okay, after I drew my square for India, I'm going to cut out the little person that I saw in the texture that we saw as our example. So I went to ahead and cut that in felt, and then I'm going to draw out flowers from Japan. And if you see a lot of the kimonos in Japan and a lot of the clothing, they always have something of nature within their textures or fabrics. So I thought that was really pretty. So I went ahead and added these flowers to my quilt. After I am done coloring everything, I'm going to actually glue my felt so that my quilt has a little bit of texture, a little 3D feeling. I think would be really cool. So I'm going to go ahead and glue that to my quilt. And again, if you don't have felt, it's totally okay because we can just draw it out. Okay, so there we go. We have it. We have our quilt all completed, all colorful. So each and every one of these textures represent, yes, a different culture, but we actually learn a lot from it. India, it also draws out a lot of patterns of flowers and nature, as well as Africa and Japan. I think that's really amazing to see. So I hope you enjoyed this activity, and I'll see you next time. Thank you so much for watching.